Okay, this video is quotes of Patrick Buchanan. He is a Scots-Irish American. He's sort of a pretty famous politician, pretty famous author. This is one of his books called The Death of the West. Okay, so now we're going to go through some of his quotes. He was born in 1938. He said, "Traditionalists can run, but they can't hide. With our public schools and public square de-Christianized, our private schools and private institutions are next. Through the hook of public money, all will be made godless. All will be forced to conform." That's what they do. If they get any loan at all, public money, then they have to conform to a whole bunch of rules that are basically atheistic, Darwinism, anti-Christian. Okay? And then he says, "The new hedonism seems unable to give people a reason to go on living. In science, technology, economics, industry, agriculture, armaments, democratic rule, America and Europe and Japan are generations ahead. But the Islamic world retains something the West has lost. The Islamic world has retained a desire to have children, to carry on their civilization, their culture, their families, their faith. If we don't stop behaving like the British Empire, we will end up like the British Empire." The British Empire, by the way, is collapsed. It's a disaster. Pat Buchanan continues, "I am a traditionalist. I am a Latin Mass Catholic, and I hold to traditional views of responsibility. Our culture is superior. Our culture is superior because our religion is Christianity, and that is the truth that makes men free. There's nothing wrong with us sitting down and arguing that the issue that we are a European country, an English-speaking country. The real liberators of American women were not the feminist noisemakers. They were the automobile, the supermarket, the refrigerator, the freezer, the shopping center, the dishwasher, the clothes washer, the dryer, and I would add the birth control pill." Okay, Pat Buchanan continues, If a country forgets where it came from, how will its people know who they are? You may be sure that in this new international system, the American citizen will count for precious little." Buchanan continues, "Uncontrolled immigration threatens to deconstruct the nation we grew up in and convert America into a conglomeration of peoples with almost nothing in common. Not history, heroes, language, culture, faith, or ancestors. Balkanization beckons. In half a lifetime, many Americans have seen their God dethroned, their heroes defiled, their culture polluted, their values assaulted, their country invaded, and themselves demonized as extremists and bigots for holding on to beliefs that Americans have held for generations." Okay, so that's what's happening. America is being systematically destroyed in like 100 different ways, and most people are simply unaware of it and oblivious because they went to public schools and they've been conditioned to be, stupid, feminists, and suicidal. Okay, so Buchanan continues. "What's all this Christian bashing about? It's simple. It's a struggle to determine whose views, values, beliefs, and standards will serve as the basis of law. The West is dying. Its nations have ceased to reproduce, and their populations have stopped growing and begun to shrink. Not since the Black Death carried off a third of the European population in the 14th century has there been a graver threat to the survival of Western civilization. We Americans are locked in a cultural war for the soul of our country. When the faith dies, the culture that has produced it begins to die. Then the civilization goes, and then the population. Parents have a right to insist that godless evolution not be taught to their children." I agree with that. You don't understand what a joke it is. I've studied it. "Many teachers of the 60s generation had said, 'We will steal your children,' and they did. A significant part of America has converted to the ideas of the 1960s, hedonism, self-indulgence, consumerism. The counterculture has become the dominant culture. Just as there's garbage that pollutes the Potomac River, there's garbage that pollutes our culture. We need to clean it up. But to millions, they have replaced the good country we grew up in with a cultural wasteland and a moral sewer that is not worth living in and not worth fighting for. It's their country, not ours. How long is this endless groveling before every cry of racism is going to continue before the whole country throws up? With each year, America becomes more and more addicted to the narcotic of cheap imports. The price of that addiction is the dismantlement of the mightiest industrial empire the world has ever seen. Piece by piece, job by job, factory by factory, it is being carted off to foreign soil. The yellow brick road that once took millions of poor and working Americans into the middle class now lies in ruin. It is not an accident. It is a direct consequence of a deliberate effort to submerge our country into a global economy from whence we shall never be truly free again. Stop exporting American jobs. Stop exporting American factories. Our two-party system is a fraud, a sham, a delusion. Our foreign policy, trade, immigration situation, we have now only one party, one press, and conservatives are being played for suckers. So Pat Buchanan had figured out what's going on way back in the 1980s. He knew what was going on, whereas most people still don't get it, and I don't know what they're going to take to get it. So they're not going to get it until, they've got some open, the thing down south border, third world savage, assaulting them. I'm sorry, but America, I know how great America was. I was a kid way back in the 1960s, and I've seen how America's just going, plus I remember the greatest decade ever, 1980s. We were all as happy, laughing, and joking around, and we had something in common with everybody, versus now people are more and more polarized, balkanized. They keep to themselves because they're so different in their views and values. They're afraid to speak that they might offend somebody. Anyways, I hope America saves itself. That would be nice. It has to return to Christian ethics, and I realize the big money doesn't want that, but that's the only thing that'll save it. So hopefully America will save itself. We'll see.